What if I were to tell you that there are only really 3 stages for getting an ex back? And the truth is that each one of these stages is really simple. In fact, getting an ex back, weirdly enough, the statistics are on your side. Based on a 2015 Associated Press study that 43% of people have admitted that they have gotten back with their exes. But we're also finding that when people implement our strategies, our stages, our 3 stages for getting their exes back, we're having 7 out of 10 people see results with getting their exes back. And Coach Anna recently has cited even higher stats, which is just mind-blowing to me because I didn't even think that was possible. So what is our secret sauce? Why are our stages, we think, better than everyone else's? Well, simply put, it all revolves around the no contact rule. Yeah, you know, the no contact rule, the thing that we're always talking about. Not just me, but all other breakup experts out there are always talking about the importance of the no contact rule, how you need to ignore your ex to make them miss you. Yet we're finding ignoring your ex to make them miss you is missing the point of no contact. Instead, no contact should be used to ignore your ex so that you can outgrow them, so that when you talk to them, you have more leverage. That's ultimately what we've learned. But we're not talking about that today. Instead, we're talking about the 3 stages of getting your ex back, and again, they all revolve around the no contact rule. So listen up, here are the 3 stages of getting your ex back. There's the before the no contact rule stage, there's the during the no contact rule stage, and then there's the after the no contact rule stage. I know, super original, but believe me, there's a lot more complication when you dive into the details. So let's talk about before the no contact rule. What happens before you implement a no contact rule? Well, the first thing you really need to do is understand in very strict detail what the no contact rule is. Now, we've briefly defined it, but my recommendation for you if you're new is to actually hop over to our website, www.exboyfriendrecovery.com, and read our no contact rule guide. It's like one of the very first articles that we have promoted on our homepage of our website. It's like a 20,000 word article that goes into pretty much everything you could ever want with regards to the no contact rule. But more importantly, before you even try implementing a no contact rule, you need to understand the type of no contact rule you need to implement. So what do we mean by that? What are the types of the no contact rules? Well, there's a standard no contact rule that we're always talking about, but also there's something called a limited no contact rule. Not all situations are created equally. Sometimes people will find themselves in situations where they want their ex back, but they work with their ex, or they go to school with their ex, or they share a child with their ex, or they live with their ex. They can't really do a strict no contact rule. Instead, they have to do something called a limited no contact rule, which is kind of like a warped version of the original no contact rule, except in circumstances where you are absolutely forced to talk to your ex. Now, we've actually done videos on the limited no contact rule and even written articles on the limited no contact rule. So I'm not going to go too far in depth here because there's still another type of no contact that we need to talk about. Indefinite no contact. In some cases, we don't recommend getting an ex back at all. In fact, we don't recommend talking to your ex at all. These are cases like often if your ex has moved on and gotten married, time for indefinite no contact, and cases where your ex is emotionally manipulating you or even physically harming you. These are cases that we do not recommend ever getting an ex back in. We recommend cutting them out of your life and kicking them to the curb and locking the door and calling the police on them and just getting them away. We don't like those people. Hey there, real quick before we get you back to your video, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, well, please do that. It really does help. It helps keep our video editors paid. It helps us keep doing these high quality videos. And it's really 5 seconds out of your day to click one little button. So if you could, please just click the subscribe button. No harm, no foul if you're not interested, but we figured we'd try. All right, let's get you back to your video. But what about the during the no contact rule stage? Well, this is where things get really interesting. Because really the key for setting you up for success during the no contact rule has to do with attachment styles, specifically secure attachment style gravity theory. All right, so here's the rundown. Basically, when we've studied people who have succeeded in getting their exes back, the one commonality we found was those people said, yeah, it was weird. Whenever I got over my ex, they came back. We found there's actually some psychological precedent in understanding attachment styles to describe this phenomenon. So how does that work? Well, there's 4 basic types of attachment styles. There's 4 core attachment styles. You have secure, you have anxious, avoidant, and then fearful. So ultimately what we find is secure attachment style is what you always need to be trying to strive towards, because secure attachment style almost pulls all the other attachment styles towards it. It attracts them. It has this gravity. But what's interesting is when we actually surveyed our audience, around 60 to 70% of them admitted that they don't believe they have a secure attachment style. In fact, they believe they're anxious and their exes are avoidant. So what they need to do is try to shift their attachment style tendencies to being more secure during the no contact rule so that they have this natural gravity pulling their ex, interesting them again. And one of the best ways to do this is with a concept we call the Holy Trinity. What is the Holy Trinity? Well, if you look at your life in very simplistic terms, you can really divide it up into 3 major categories: health, wealth, and relationships. Now, generally speaking, there's this interesting synergy between each of these categories. In other words, when your dating life goes down, your health also goes down and your wealth also goes down. And just to use an example, let's say your ex breaks up with you. Big shocker, you're in that situation right now. So your ex breaks up with you, all of a sudden you lose all motivation to eat properly, to work out, you just don't feel like moving, you feel super depressed, health has taken a dip. Also, mental health has taken a dip. You are not feeling really good. You're feeling super depressed. That's carrying over into your work job. And maybe you get chewed out by your boss, or maybe you lose that job and you blame it on your ex. All of a sudden, wealth has taken a hit. Now, the opposite is also true. One of the things that we learned is that by focusing actually on health and wealth and on the other aspects of relationships like friends and family, you can actually positively impact all 3. And it makes you become more attractive towards your ex, which in turn will make them want to kind of come with that gravity. And then, of course, we have the final stage, which is after the no contact rule. This is where things get really fun. A lot of times, up until now, we've only really been talking about internal stuff, focusing inward. Well, after the no contact rule is where we do all the external stuff. This is where we begin talking to our exes. This is where we implement the value ladder, you know, the thing I'm always talking about on this YouTube channel. All right, so value ladder, quick crash course. Basically, we learned that one of the worst things you could do is go from 0 to 60 from a contacting standpoint after the no contact rule. Oftentimes people have this false belief that if they do a no contact rule and immediately see their ex after the no contact rule on a date, their ex is going to ask for them back. They got a rude awakening. That's not what happens at all. Instead, we found better results when you stair-step your way up to that process. So the value ladder is basically this make-believe ladder that you're climbing. So the first rung of the ladder is texting. You're gonna text your ex and build value on that sort of rung of the ladder. After enough value has been built, you can climb to the next rung of the ladder. Phone calls, video chat, things like that. Skype, I guess. People don't use Skype, they're using Zoom now. You get the point. You build value in that stage. Once you've built enough value there, you can stair-step your way up to the next rung, which is meetups. Now, meetups are not romantic dates. They're often hangouts that are in this gray area between, is this romantic, is this a date, or is this just sort of like, hey, we're hanging out? You do a couple of those meetups, build value there, and then you do something romantic. Then you get your ex to take you out, or you take your ex out, depending on if you're a guy or a girl or whatever the gender roles are here. You go out on a romantic date, you do 3 of those romantic dates, and if your ex hasn't asked for you back through building value at that top rung of the ladder, that's when you phrase a question like, so what are we, to your ex, which I consider the ask, and usually that's enough to push your ex over and have them come back. So That's what happens after the no contact rule in a very quick way. Now, if you're anything like me and like to have everything explicitly stated for you and understand each rung of the ladder, understand what I mean by the Holy Trinity and the secure attachment style theory and the gravity theory, and understanding if you're a candidate for a limited no contact rule or an indefinite no contact rule, and one thing we didn't cover was the length of no contact rule, my best advice is to actually take our starting quiz on our website, www.exboyfriendrecovery.com, to see if you're a good candidate for trying to get your ex back at all. So we put together a quiz called the Ex Recovery Chances Quiz that's designed to tell you what kind of chance you have of getting your ex back. Not only will it tell you that, but it will give you some ideal next steps for you to sort of implement going forward if you're interested in trying to win your ex back. And it's going to basically be explaining the 3 stages I just talked about in this video, but on steroids, especially when we talk about the Ex Recovery Program, my massive, long program that details each of these 3 stages and like insane amounts of vomit-inducing detail. So check that out. If you're interested in sort of the starting point for all of this, just go below, click the link in the description you see there. It will take you directly to the quiz where we can kind of get you started on that path. Now, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. It really makes a difference. We're not really good at asking people to subscribe to our YouTube channel, so I've been making a conscious effort lately for asking more people to subscribe to hopefully take over YouTube and take over the world so that everyone can try to win their exes back and no relationship problems ever exist. But that kind of defeats, that means I won't have a business anymore because no relation, you get where I'm going. If you like this content, please hit the subscribe button below and that bell notification. I'll see you next time.